We love it. We love it. I'm so glad in sports that we just get to keep doing what we do. Right? So you guys get no break. Yeah, and we don't either. It's just it's a Monday. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. We have now entering into what is now kind of a regular weekly practice routine. What will start off for our first Monday after a game. I don't know if you've noticed a difference, but we have elected to give the players, they get a day off a week. We've made Sunday the day off. We're going to have a real light workout in kind of beginning the installation of the next game on Monday afternoon. It will be an hour practice, and light, but it will get a lot of our first down stuff in today, which kind of gives you a little jump on it. We got to be careful how we handle that physically for the players. And I've done this before like this and always liked it, just to get that first down stuff in there and get started installation-wise. Gives you a chance to then get third down in on Tuesday, so you get a little jump ahead. And Wednesday you get the red zone in that order. So that's we've talked about that, done it different ways. And what I've tried to do is, instead of having longer practices, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, have the same amount of time practicing, just spread it over 4 days is kind of what it looks like. Start out by reviewing, and then we'll preview. But in reviewing the game, I can't start without saying once again that what a terrific night it is for college football when there's a game in Memorial Stadium. Our fans and the atmosphere and just getting to be a part of that is so special. You can never forget the thankfulness of being a part of all that, and our crowd and visitors that come that I know, and of course it's a great recruiting deal, but they all comment on this is just different that way. Pretty fun. The game, coming out of the game, I'll hit the injuries first. DeMornay Pearsonell hurt his shoulder. Probably won't do anything with our team today. We're hopeful that he can do some stuff tomorrow. It's going to be one of those things that we do not anticipate him, as the week progresses, missing the game at all. But it'll be a process of him feeling good by the time we get there. So we're going to be careful with him today and then see what he can do tomorrow and each day as it goes. Marcus Newby's hamstring's bothering him a little bit. He won't do anything today. We hope he can do some stuff tomorrow. So in that regard, we're pretty good. In the ball game, some of the things that were nice to see, we didn't have any turnovers offensively. We were pretty good on third down. The percentage will look good, as I look at it and where we want to go, and you just look harder at the ones we didn't make and why, and so, but normally that's pretty good. 7 out of 14. Our balance was good. The totals you guys already know. We're fairly even, and when you run the ball like that, it gives you a great opportunity to win, and so we're glad to do that. We had 6 drives of 7 plays or more, which is good. We had 12 explosive plays, and percentage-wise, that's pretty good in a football game. We look for like 15% of our plays being explosive plays, and that's about what we were. Nick Gates had a nice game. Tanner Lee, I thought, made some beautiful plays, and I'm thinking just a snapshot of how we go forward with him, but I think everybody saw the plays that he can make and the ability he has. It was, I think we talked about this after the game, but the decision to do what we did with Trey Bryant was hard because we had good competition, but we decided not to overcook it and complicate it with different ways of substitution, which wouldn't have been bad considering the competition that we had. But we tried to make a good decision about doing it this way. And Trey played, obviously he played well. And we're still thankful for those other guys that are playing. Mikael Wilbon didn't play a lot, but he went in, scored a touchdown. And so we feel confident in that. And Devine, I think Devine is probably playing his best ball. It's like I said the other day, I think we have 3 better backs than we did a year ago. They just happen to be the same guys. And that's okay. That's a good sign. DeMornay had a good game. Stanley Morgan, I think, showed everybody where he's going. I'm real hopeful that just continues with Stan. And you know, the guy that from last year to this year that's probably made the biggest jump on our football team is Tyler Hoppus, or one of the biggest jumps. So I'm excited about that. You know, the things that kind of stick with me that we just have to do better, that you just want more, is we want to finish those drives instead of field goals. I just always had a sense that we could have had a better rhythm, run pass as we went in the game. You know, and it's probably it's so subjective. It's hard to put a finger on what that means, but I just have that sense that attacking rhythm of mixing those things up, we can do better. We had some penalties that were drive killers. One of them killed a drive that just got started right off the bat. I think our second series was awful, you know, with a bad play and a penalty, and just didn't look like football. And then you know, we had a couple other nice runs that were negated by holding calls, and so we've got to do better that way. Defensively, we got the 2 interceptions that were big. Nice tip ball in the red zone for an interception, and then and I thought Kalu's was a big time play down the field. Their team only had yardage, and you know, we anticipated a lot of what they were going to try to do, and they did it well for the yards in the game. And part of the plan actually worked out as you would see it unfold. They only had 5 explosive plays. Their longest run, I think, was 14 yards. Their longest pass was 29 yards, and that came at the result really of a 7-yard hitch that was a missed tackle that ended up being. So when you play a team like that, the keeping them from getting chunk plays and then keeping them from scoring, and then the 9 of the points weren't on our defense. They were a punt return and a safety, and then we hurt ourselves as much as anything. We had a personal foul that gave them new life and a score when it would have been 4th down, and the best they could have come out of that, I think, was a field goal. And then we gave up a play that we actually recognized too late, had the coverage, recognized it too late, lost the coverage. They scored a touchdown on the wheel route, which we shouldn't have given up. There was lots of good open field tackling. I thought it was a terrific game for our new corners that played. Lamar, of course, played some last year, but you know, Boodle and Eric Lee played a lot of, more plays than they've ever played at all. And I was proud of how they battled. I think that game will be good for their growth. I just think, you know, they played a team that threw 68 passes, and a lot of them they had to contest on the edge of the field with blockers and tackling, and I thought it was good for them. And then I thought our safeties, Aaron Williams, you know, made a touchdown saving play. Josh Kalu played all over the place. I thought that there was some good stuff there. And Luke Gifford played, I think, the most plays, except for Josh Kalu, on our defense. So he probably played a combined total of more plays than he's played yet for the Huskers in one game. Really proud of Luke. He's the other guy with Hoppus that I'd have to include in that conversation about what's happened since January to right now for him has really been positive. Excited about him. Special teams, of course, we had the big kickoff return. It was such an exciting play and a great answer at the time. I thought Caleb Lightbourne had a consistent night, punting the ball, hitting the ball. He had the 2 balls inside the 5. I think that one of my favorite plays in football is that play. So the execution of that was big. And it was really big in that game because obviously that team moved the ball. And so the longer they had to move it, I thought that that was great football. Drew kicked well. Unfortunately, I think he had his first penalty since he's been a Husker when he kicked the ball out of bounds. But besides that, he had number of touchbacks. He kicked field goal. He's off to a good start. Jordan Olber, I need to mention him because he's always so consistent as our snapper. Obviously, in the special teams area, you can't give up touchdowns on punt coverage. It was one of those plays that I've seen before that can be typical, but should not be. You can't dismiss it at all. This is not an excuse, but a muffed ball, people condense, and all of a sudden the guy's got the ball and he's running without really good containment to one side of the field, and then gets back underneath all the pursuit and he's gone. And so it was a tactical mistake by us, and it was a big play by them. We had a big, we had a safety, which is a negative play by us. I'm really disappointed in that because I think you should take great pride in bringing it out of your own end, and we get of all things tackled in the backfield, missed blocking assignment up front, and then we actually, after that, I thought recovered with a pretty nice punt, and they had a penalty on it, so we would have really been in pretty decent shape considering the situation, but then we get a late hit penalty out of bounds that is not necessary at all and inexcusable, really. We had some substitution issues on special teams, primarily when we left our defense on the field for a safe situation where we weren't sure. They're in that position to punt or fake it in pretty good shape, so we left our defense out. We didn't do a good job with transition there, and we didn't do a good job in transitioning when they scored on the safety. We didn't do a good job there. So we've got to clean that part of it up for sure, and we will. And from there, I think that that's kind of a review for me. I'll hit Oregon real quick. They got off to a great start in their first game. They offensively, they're a spread offense. Hopefully we had a lot of good practice against similar type stuff that will help us in this next outing. They have a couple guys, Royce Freeman and Charles Nelson, that they have to be 10-year players in that program from what I remember. I can't believe it, but they're really good players, and they had a good start the other night individually. And their other running backs, Brooks, they're good. The quarterback broke in last year. He had the benefit of playing a whole year. Appears to be real comfortable with what they're doing, and in some fashion probably a continuation of some of the stuff that he has done in his past. So they were hitting on all cylinders the other night. Lots of yardage, lots of points. Defensively, they have gone now to the 3-4 defense. It's what I mentioned to you guys earlier, that we hope that having worked against the 3-4 in practice so much that will be helpful. There's no guarantee, but you think it would be helpful, and now I think it's a better transition than playing against the 4-3 all the time and then going by week, getting ready for the 3-4. So we practice against it a lot. Now we'll have to do it against kind of their style, their quarters, cover 3 team. They had a young defense a year ago. Some of these guys have had the benefit of now playing, and so we'll face that kind of a new look Oregon deal. They actually, when Chip was there, they were a 3-4 team too, and then they went away from it for a couple of years, and now they're back into it. So we'll see all those parts that come into play with that defense. So that's kind of a look at them, and then I'll open it up to questions from there.
Yeah, Mike, I guess, what would you say to the fans out there that might be stressing about the defense? You kind of touched on it already, but I guess what would your message be?
Well, I think that first of all, we anticipated a hard game, Eric, in the fashion that you saw. Now, that this team is a good football team with all those parts that, as you approach them, you might have the idea they're going to get some yards. We got to keep them, make a play, keep them out of the end zone. We have to play the field position with teams like this, make sure that we do a good job offensively, opportunities to score, which is another thing that I mentioned earlier. We got to finish drives. So it's got to be a team game a little bit. And then when you get an opportunity to make some plays and stop them, then you stop them, and you make them punt or keep them from scoring touchdowns. So they're going to get some yardage with a style like that. It doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily get the points they need to win, and that is where football, in this era with spread offenses is. That, I think all that is real. It's not going to be necessarily so much about yardage and how that fits. It's really about points. And as I mentioned, the point totals we hope we can improve on. We don't need to give up 9 points. Just give them 9 points. We don't need to give them more points, another touchdown with a personal foul. So, I think that, and the other thing is that we have the confidence that we can take that game, look at it, help our players the next time out get better on how to play. We can tighten some things up, and I feel good about that. I feel really good about how the communication. I can go back and forth on the headphones, offense, defense, play a part in all that, and talk to our special teams coach if I want to, or find him. But I thought that the communication with the defensive staff was good. I think the stuff that they talked about at halftime with our team was really well done and organized and done in a real good fashion. So I'm very confident that our players will continue to learn. I think that people will make a lot of the new defense, but we also have to understand that it's not always about that as much as it can be some of the guys' first game. So we had some guys that not only were playing in a new defense, which I don't use as part of this discussion, but actually just playing in a game and playing as much as they did. For Alex Davis, playing's new to him. Luke Gifford playing that much is brand new to him. Boodle has really never played. Eric Lee, very little. So, you've got quite a few guys. Lamar Jackson, you think of him as a vet. Well, he just played part-time, a year ago. So, it's not so much all that as it is just getting to play. And I think guys grow most from games.
You mentioned all the running backs have improved.
Yeah.
Has Trey Bryant made the biggest improvements? And I guess the second part, did you see that sort of production come?
Trey looked good, didn't he? Yeah, he's quick-footed, he's hard-nosed, he's smart, and he's versatile. And you know, Steve, the discussion, did I see it coming? I hope for it, you know. I mean, I would like to say I had a perfect crystal ball and saw all that. What I liked is that we repeated runs, and I think there's two things there. I think the running back getting to play. You know, we haven't done it like this, so I'm kind of a self-indictment a little bit since we've been here. But the running back getting to play and be in the game, they, like everybody else, learn in the game. And what you hope to do is that learning and what it looks like against that opponent with what we're doing, they get a better feel for as they go. You know, I know that's true with the inside zone, you know, and so and actually that was our third best play the other night. It wasn't even as good as it should be. But, you know, our outside pin and pull play we call Stealer was a good looking play. And then our power play without the puller was a good play. And and the other thing besides having the same guy do it and get a feel for it, we repeated those runs quite a bit during the game. And that, therefore, gives the offensive line even a better feel as you go, gives that running back a better feel. And so that was kind of a reminder to me of why we make that kind of decision, even though it was hard. And maybe even those other guys deserve more, you know, in the competition that we had. But that's the way that we went. And then we'll look at it more as we go forward. But, you know, Trey won't practice today. He will, you know, he's got a knee, and it swells up once in a while. So after a game, he might have that day or two off. And we've been there before with that too. So we'll be careful with that. We'll keep the other guys competing and growing. Doesn't mean it's a forever thing, but that's how we came to that conclusion. That's why he had those carries. That's why he stayed in the game like that.
Mike, what does this week mean to you going back to Oregon after being here now in your third season? Well,
you know, it's exciting to do that. I'm not that fired up about all the ticket requests I've got coming, but that's all right. It actually is pretty neat. You know, I embrace things like this as pretty unique personal opportunities that are just that. They're personal. You know, this is not about me going back to Oregon. It's about the Nebraska team playing the Ducks. So, but it is fun for me. I mean, I will say that. You know, I've spent a lot of time and had too many hard times in that stadium. So we're excited to go play and win the game for this 2017 team. But you know, I do like revisiting that history because I appreciated it so much. It was all those times were special. I watched games in that stadium when I was a kid.
Coach, why didn't your defensive coordinator talk after the game?
You know, that I'm glad you asked about that. That first of all, that part of it actually came a couple weeks ago. Bob and I had talked about that specifically, and you know, it really was a talk about his thoughts were that it would be great after a ball game for one voice, you know, giving him time to watch the film and then review it with you guys at his appointed time. So it was nothing, as I haven't followed it all, but nothing that maybe has come out nothing was intentional by him in that regard. It was a discussion we had, and frankly, my fault, because I never revisited that conversation with him. It was a conversation of his thoughts about that, and that sounds good, and we'll talk about it, but I actually didn't think about it again. By the time I saw him after the game, it was an hour afterwards, and he said he had been approached about it, and I said, gosh, I think it's all done by now. I wouldn't worry about it. So what I think was a pretty innocent thing turned into a bigger thing, but that's it. It was was certainly not. He's been great with the media that I've watched and seen. So, and he's going to talk to you today. So that's kind of it.
Is there an expectation that he'll, from this point forward, just go ahead and talk out?
Yes. Yeah. I think we got it all squared away. But like I said, Sam, it might have been from that conversation my fault. If anything happened like that the other night, and like I said, I never really, after that conversation with him, my bad, I never thought about it again. And because I kind of got what he was talking about as a possibility, so it was totally unintentional.
Mike, you mentioned the special teams, and they were a factor in your game. They were a factor all over the country, really.
Yes.
Is that something that, are you guys able to devote as much time as you'd like to special teams in preseason practice? And is that something that builds over a season?
Oh, boy. I think that, again, without rationalizing, I don't like to do that. The worst play, and one that gives all of us sleepless nights, is the punt return play, right? That's such a big play in the game, and we're thankful we got the spark with a good answer. Because had we not, that game was hard anyway. But yeah, I think we got plenty of time to do it. And we spend a lot of time on it, Eric, and I know it didn't look like it on that play, but I'll tell you what, the kickoff return play was blocked. It was a nice run, but those plays don't work without really crisp, good blocking. Scott Booker coaches that with great detail. And what we missed on the punt return was not necessarily what we missed in the coaching. I've just seen those plays with muff kicks where, you know what I mean by everybody, all of a sudden the ball's on the ground, so you condense. Instead of staying in your lane, he picks it up. Reggie Bush did that to us. I'll never forget that play. And we were actually always going to kick the ball out of bounds. We did not want Reggie. We'd take a 30-yard punt without letting Reggie Bush return the punt on us. And Sam Pelescu hit one that bounced on the boundary. I'm standing right there. Reggie is standing right here, and the ball's bouncing, and he is so smart. He's looking at everybody. The ball's bouncing right on the sideline. He picks it up and takes off 10 yards deep the other way. So what had happened, our defense had relaxed because the ball's bouncing over there, and he just outran the whole team. And watching Sam Pelescu try to tackle him at the end was like the other night. It wasn't very pretty. So it is a mistake. I've actually told that story to our team. You can't do that, but we did it. But we do spend a lot of time getting to coach special teams. Like every day in practice, we spend 2 periods a day on 2 teams. And then 1 period on either field goal, extra point block, or field goal. So we'll do that. And we do the coverage teams. We'll do coverage teams today and Wednesday, and we'll do the return teams Tuesday. We'll review all of them on Thursday. And then we will take only the day off kicking field goals and extra points with our field goal team, extra point team, Tuesday. That's a day off for Drew.
So what percentage would you say is special teams prep? If you got the whole piece of the pie for the week, 20%?
Yeah, there's about 20-minute segments every day, not including the let me back up here. Yeah, about 18 for 22 minutes a day. And that's part of that is included with the returners catching ball from the kickers and punters. So, go ahead. No, I think that's all I've got to say.
What can you tell your players about the challenge of playing in Autzen Stadium? How hard is it just to play? I mean, other than the team that you're going to be playing, how hard is it to play there? And what do you do to prepare?
It's one of the great tough environments that I've coached in. You know, the the stadium, for whatever reason, the way it's built, is one of the 5 top noisiest places I've ever coached. You know, and BC Place in Canada's right up there, maybe number 1, believe it or not, because it's that kind of synthetic roof and 55,000. You just can't. And then the Superdome is, and the Chiefs are a bit hard. This is in the top 5. This is really hard. If you watch their games, I remember one year USC had a hard time getting a snap, false starts, you know, and so we've been working on that all of camp, you know, with noise and 2-minute, especially in our 2-minute drills, and so we've done a lot of basically silent cadence stuff, and we'll have to be really well prepped up. Because that just can mess up a game. You know, the communication to run a play and not get false starts is just a big factor in having a chance to win the game. So you have to be prepped for that for sure, because it's a factor.
Have you found that over the many years that you played there, you guys got better at it?
No doubt. Yeah, I really felt like there were. As a matter of fact, we were always pretty well prepared, and I think that we had the ability to make that a non-factor and a chance to win the game. And we played some down to the wire there, that I was so proud of our team for just being able to function like they did.
Hey Mike, from the way you talked about Spielman throughout the offseason, I would get the sense you weren't surprised by what he did in his first game. Does he have kind of that mentality that you don't see a lot maybe in a young player?
Yeah, I think JD, I was never worried about him, how he was going to respond in a game. I think he's got that ability to be confident without, you know, he's not cocky at all. But he is a ball player. I did not think he would blink, and my only disappointment in the game is that we really didn't get him going much as a receiver. You know, that's the parts. You know, we just got to get more of that. Get in that rhythm where we do that better.
Mike, in your estimation, how much better do you think the defense? How much improvement maybe do you want to see this week, given the caliber of the opponent here?
Well, I think we're going to play a better team, and of course we'll then have to play better. I think that we have to tighten down some of those things that are very much under our control. You know, I think that one of the parts about when we really had passing situations, we lost some under coverage of receivers catching simple curl routes that did not have to happen. So we can clean some of that up for sure. I think this staff is a great teaching staff, and they'll be able to take that, and I hope we make a big jump because of that. You know, I think that we have an opportunity for a lot of what parents would call teachable moments from that game.
System-wise, you see a lot of similarities, or any similarities with what they did before Billy Taggart got there and out, or is it very different?
You know, I think that there are probably really good similarities with, you know, just kind of what you would talk about spread offenses in general. They have their own flavor, I suppose, that they would they have added to it. But I think that probably part of it, of what they're doing, because of what they did, the quarterback has a pretty good comfort level going into a new staff, and it appeared that way the other night.
All right, one last one. Just have one question. You guys controlled the clock a lot in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, you had a couple of drives to kind of finish it.
Yeah.
Do it. When you review those two drives at the end of the game, what would you like to have done differently, if anything, in terms of play calling, getting the clock in?
Oh yeah, man. I think that we probably talked. Danny and I probably talked about that part as much as anything. You know, just the ability to finish, and maybe it was Bob too that I was talking to about that. Just one more first down, really, somewhere in there. You know, and you know, one thing that kind of bothered me is we had a pretty good, I thought it was a really good third down call. And and what we didn't have, they kind of, what they did with their robber, their extra player, took that play away. So adding that good next option off of, in that you can't change the play, but you got to have another good choice for the quarterback, right? And so we've got to explore that one a little bit, because that threw a curveball into that. So we studied that, and that's when I was talking about third down. You know, I'm not as interested in the third downs that we made as the ones that we didn't make. And I know this, that when you're good on third down, it really increases your chance of winning the game. So, you know, even though 7 of 14 in the statistics around looks pretty good, it wasn't overly, I'm not overly excited about it, just because of the ones that we didn't, particularly at the end. Good to see you. Thank you for being here.